Hi guys, welcome to TOYCON TV's episode 28, Mad About Tokusatsu. I'm Michael Ramos, Operations Manager for Anime Alliance Philippines and Floor Manager for TOYCON PH Operations. And joining me tonight as my co-host is Toto. Hi Toto.
Hi! Hello! Ako si Toto,
Ayan.
so
Wow,
aka
you're my
Futomi Nomura.
co-host right now. Sige nga,
Yeah.
say your hello nga.
Hello, ako si Futomi Nomura, Senior Manager for Tech Ops for Anime Alliance Philippines and Technical Manager for Toycon PH
Wow,
Operations.
how are you Toto? How are you? Ang ganda-ganda naman ng sombrero mo.
Siyempre,
It's very appropriate for our show tonight. Ang ganda-ganda
yeah.
naman. Ano ba pag-usapan natin
Complete with
ngayon?
props.
May props ka? Patingin nga.
Ayan. Siyempre, ano tayo? So, Tokusatsu tayo ngayon today.
Tokusatsu tayo. Ayan. Well, TOYCON TV is your weekly catch-up with the local toy community and fandoms that love everything about toys, collections, and hobbies. It's also our way to keep the TOYCON community together despite the physical distance. This is brought to you by TOYCON, the event that brings collectors together for nearly 2 decades now.
A few episodes ago, we slightly took a peek at how the Tokusatsu culture was. For tonight's episode, we're diving into more toys, shows, fandom of the Tokusatsu culture courtesy of our guest tonight.
Yan, ganda. We have a great lineup of guests tonight to enlighten us for the Tokusatsu culture. But before we bring in our guests, I'd also like to bring in someone that could help us provide more information about Tokusatsu. And please welcome one of our very own, Mr. Cal Enriquez. Hey!
Yay!
Hi, Cal. How are you?
Ay, nakamute ka?
Nakamute ka? Nakamute ka
Unmute.
sa salita? Nakamute ka?
Botch.
Yo.
Hello, hi, good evening ulit.
How are you, Cal? It's been a while since we've seen each other.
Indeed, it's been a while. I'm doing great. How about you? I hope you're safe out there, and everyone who's also watching tonight. Thank you, by the way, for spending your time with us despite the weather and the situation.
Wow.
So, yan,
Look
hi.
at your back. What's all those in the back?
Oh God, no. Honestly, I was I don't know. I just
You don't know.
pulled out my laptop and that's it.
I don't get late. All right. So, well, both of you guys, as my co-hosts for tonight, are gonna enlighten a lot of our viewers right now about the Tokusatsu culture, the toys, the shows, and the fan culture itself. No, but Cal, since I know you're much more of a fan than Toto here, because I know you
Yeah.
have a huge collection, knowing you from before. Can you explain to us what Tokusatsu is? Like, can you give like a brief, layman's term of what Tokusatsu is?
So, well, tokusatsu is a term used for special effects. It's technically special filming is the proper word, and it's more on the live action or television drama. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, if you watch Mask Rider or Power Rangers, that's the same thing. But tokusatsu is more on the term done or used by the Japanese culture. So another thing that's way out of the perception of tokusatsu would be Godzilla movies and Ultraman. They're
Okay.
also
Gotcha.
tokusatsu because they use special effects and they also have live action elements in it.
Okay.
So you
Pero
know.
I think tonight we're gonna be tackling more on the Tokusatsu, in part of Tokusatsu, more on the genre
Mm,
of Sentai. No, kasi a lot of
mm,
our guests primarily have it, but I know one of our guests had Tokusatsu as an inspiration in his filmmaking,
mm.
diba? So for everyone's information, that's what Tokusatsu is. I mean, I saw it on Wikipedia too. Anyway,
Thank
all
you,
right. Well,
Wikipedia.
we have
Thank
a
you.
very interesting night for ahead of us tonight. So why don't let's not keep our viewers waiting, and let's bring in the people that can discuss their respective expertise when it comes to Tokusatsu and Sentai. Cal, go ahead.
All right. So thanks, Michael. So our first guest is a freelance writer and editor who loves most things connected to pop culture and geekery. So he's also served as the voice of Comic Con, who rekindled his childhood love for Tokusatsu 10 years ago, thanks to Kaizoku Sentai Go Kaicher. So let's please welcome Jason.
Yay! Hi, Jason.
Yay!
Hi everyone. Hello. Good
Hi,
evening.
Jason. How are you?
I'm good, guys. I'm good. Ayan. Represent.
Wow, you're really
Wow,
ready for the Tokusatsu
Ranger.
love. Yes. So how long have you been a Tokus? I mean, like 10 years. So how long in roughly have you been a Tokusatsu fan?
Siguro, Mike, one of my earliest memories as a kid is seeing Gamera in a movie house with my dad.
Oh, okay.
Although hindi ako aware noon that was Tokusatsu. I remember the giant turtle, di ba, na yun yung si Gamera. But also, as a kid, I used to see, Star Rangers, Go Ranger, ganyan.
Oh my God.
They were showing on Channel 9 back then. And I was a fan back then, even though I don't remember how old I was. Maybe I was 3 years old.
The first that I've seen, Sentai series in Tokusatsu, it would be like when I was really young then. I think IBC 13 was the one who's showing the IBC 13. Wow.
Tama. So medyo I lost touch with it because they weren't showing it anymore locally.
Mm-hmm.
Then sometime mga 86 or 87, biglang nasa TV na Bioman, di ba? So I think a lot of us were reintroduced to Tokusatsu because of Bioman and subsequently Maskman, Jetman, tapos mga Kamen Rider series. Then for me, around maybe 10, 11 years ago, I was just chatting with some friends, Facebook and stuff, and they were saying that Super Sentai and Kamen Rider are still going on in Japan, and it blew my mind. So I started watching the series again. I even went back a few series to some shows that my friends recommended, like mga Gokenger, ganyan, mga naunang Super Sentai series. And I've been plugged in ever since. So I've been watching Super Sentai and Kamen Rider ever since, pretty consistently actually. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll talk more later, no? We'll talk more later about your experiences, and then yes, and we're very excited to actually see your presentations later, no? All right.
Okay.
Sige. Toto, go ahead.
Our second guest for tonight is a longtime collector and dealer of Sentai toys and robots among various merchandise, with his store, PJ Collectibles, which is a regular staple booth for TOYCON. Let's give a warm welcome for PJ!
Hi, PJ! PJ! Nakamute ka.
Okay, yeah. Hello, good evening,
Hello.
people. Hello.
Good evening.
Hope everybody is doing well kahit na umuulan sa labas na malakas.
Yan.
Yan, oo.
I see PJ all of the time in TOYCON, Toto. I think you always go to his store too. I think both of you guys actually go to his store, di ba? Sa PJ Collector.
Si Toto lagi, bago mag-opening ang event, nandun na. Nagsiset up pa lang ako, nakatingin na siya eh. Sa gilid.
Minamarkahan ko na.
Minamarkahan na niya, anong gusto ko dyan.
Naalala ko rin yun, nakikita
Kaya
namin.
minsan nawawala sa atin pagka niraradyo.
Kahit di ka minsan dadaan niya sa booth, titignan niya, saan nanggaling yan? Ba't meron siya?
Actually, ngayon ko lang nakita to. Oh no.
Yes.
Kasi usually, pagkararadyoin ko na si Toto, biglang nawawala. Toto, asan ka na? Biglang
Nandun sa akin yun.
Pati si Kat,
yun.
silang dalawa ata ni Kat minsan nandyan sa inyo.
Oo, sisilip sila. Tapos minsan si Sir Vic dadaan, tatawagin siya, ba't nandun daw siya. Hinahanap na pala siya doon sa harap, nandun pa rin siya sa gitna.
Yeah. So later on, we'll have you actually we'll give you the chance to actually, explain your love and especially kasi you have your own store now, which actually I would assume that specializes then in a lot of Sentai toys.
Sentai, yan talaga ever since nag-start.
Yun talaga yung
yan talaga. Ever since I joined the TOYCON as a booth exhibitor around 2009, 2010.
Okay.
Yun, nag-start ako. Yan talaga yung specialty ko, forte ko.
Sige. So we'll touch up more on that one with you. So thank you, PJ. We'll see you in a bit again.
Yeah.
So our third guest for tonight is a dorky filmmaker from Mandaluyong City, winner of Most Friendly Award in grade 4. He is creator of the Sentai-inspired Cinema One Originals feature film Blue Bustamante. He also won the Pop-Up Film Residency Prize at the Kino Kids Industry in Warsaw, Poland. Wow. For his new project, Ninja from Manila. Let's please welcome our prestigious guest, Miko.
Grabe yung prestigious guest.
Yes!
Wala ako masyadong tokusatsu to eh. Pero my favorite superhero. Bank siya eh, kasi
Wow.
Jesus saves. So,
Ano yan? Pag pinindot mo ba yan, gumagalaw din yung kamay?
Hindi, gan lang. Ina-encourage ka lang niya na kaya mo yan, Miko. Joke lang. Hi guys, thank you.
How are you tonight?
Thank you. I'm good. Yun nga, muulan sa labas, so wala rin akong reason para
Well,
umalis.
recently I saw that you won ano ba yun? Yung last chat natin like earlier, 'di ba? Congratulations to you.
Yeah. Nabalitaan niyo pala yun. Thank you for
Congratulations.
sobrang
Congratulations.
fresh
Yan. So later on we'll discuss more about your experience then, no? Kasi like you were mentioning before before we were doing the pre-prod that Tokusatsu actually influenced you with your film creations then, 'di ba? So
Yes.
we'll touch upon that, and then we're very excited to have you on board with us here. Yes. So Miko Livelo, please. Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you for having me. Palagi akong nasa TOYCON since 2006.
Wow.
So parang in some way medyo parang nag-full circle na ako. Wow, guess na ako. So sabihin ko yung 2006 version ko na,
how about we bring our guests in for right now, and then we'll have some small talk, and then later on we'll have Jason actually start his presentation. No, nasa ba sila? Let's bring everyone in. Yan. So these are our prestigious and respected guests for tonight. Si Jason, CJ, and Miko, who will be discussing with us their experiences about the Tokusatsu fan culture. So Cal and Toto will be the ones moderating the questions. Di ba? Yan, may questions sila sa inyo guys later. Pero before
hindi ako nag-review.
Open notes
nag-review.
Open notes.
May grade ba to?
Open notes naman yan.
Open notes. Nako.
Open notes. So I just want to remind our viewers, if you are later on, we want you guys to actually interact with us to the comment section. Like post your questions, we'll be flashing it out, and hopefully you guys listen to their presentations because the questions for the trivia later will be based there, and hopefully people who's watching on YouTube and Twitter will hop onto Facebook to actually join the trivia contest. So yeah, and then what else? Cal, do you guys have any preliminary questions for our guests muna, or should we begin?
I guess for me, kasi most of them have already given their first interaction with Tokusatsu.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we can say that I can ask what was the first Tokusatsu that really impacted with your whole being.
The show, parang ganon, or what was their first influence?
More on the first influence, and what gave you, or what pushed you to watch more.
One lang.
Oh, isa lang.
Jason, ano ba yung unang-una, like the very first for you?
Talaga.
Go Ranger.
Ito talaga.
Star
Rangers talaga.
How about you?
Ako talaga unang-una dati.
Very first lang.
Star Ranger, Go Rangers din. Kasi nakikita ko sa kuya ko, nanonood sila noon eh. Nung bata pa ako. So I've seen it before. Pero
you're making it sound like tatanda na natin.
Hindi naman. Pero yung personal ako na yung nanonood, nag-start talaga kay Bioman. Nung panahon natin. Si Bioman Shaider talaga nun eh. Kasi alam mo, uuwi ka na ng alas 5, manonood ka na eh.
So pag pinastok kita, Go Ranger o Bioman, alin doon?
Wala, Bioman ako eh. Kasi doon talaga ako nag-start eh.
Sorry.
Noong time ng Go Ranger, bata pa ako, maliit pa ako, hindi ko pa naiintindihan ano nangyayari sa TV eh.
Gotcha. Alright.
Basta may ginugulpi silang monster, yun.
Oh, yeah. How about you, Miko?
Ako, Shaider.
Wow, Shaider.
Kaya nga Bluebus naman.
I remember, now you're making me start to remember Shaider myself. Jesus Christ.
Pero nung bata ko, yun yung, alam kong open joke yung parang pag sumisipa si Annie, kita yun. So nung bata ako, nung unang beses ko nakita yun, alam mo, tinitingnan ko pa yung paligid na, may nakakita ba nun? Ako lang ba?
Si Shaider yung gumaganon, di ba?
Yung pag nakipaglaro.
Basketball ako noon. Basketball ako, pag tumira ako, minsan nagko-cross yung kamay ko. Sinatawag nila ako siya ma-Shaider shot daw ako.
May ganun pala.
May ganun yun. Alright, well,
I was not aware of that.
As much as I want our conversations to actually push through like this, you guys have presentations for us to actually, give us your experience and your walkthroughs about the Tokusatsu culture. So without further ado, we'll give the floor to Jason, and then we'll come back to PJ and Miko later. Thank you guys again, and I hope everyone learns a thing or two with the Tokusatsu. Diba? All right, Jason, I think we'll give the floor to you. Yeah, yeah. Jason will be our first presenter. Yeah, and so Jason, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Mike. So I was asked to talk a bit about Tokusatsu history. Since I've been a lifelong fan, I don't know exactly how Cholo decided to ask me, but I'm thankful for this because I do have an affinity for all things Tokusatsu right now, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, so this is just a short slide presentation on Tokusatsu history. Okay, so tokusatsu, it literally means special filming, as Cal mentioned earlier. No, it's a Japanese term for live action film or television drama that makes heavy use of special effects. So this often deals with the concepts, the genres deal with science fiction, fantasy, or horror. And it has origins in early Japanese theater, specifically in Kabuki theater and Bunraku, which are their puppet plays. And they had early use of special effects even back then. Okay, so next slide, please. Ayan, next na lang, sorry. Ayan, okay. So modern tokusatsu as we know it originates with the big bad of them all, which is Gojira or Godzilla from 1954. This was directed by Ishiro Honda with special effects by Eiji Tsuburaya. So the name Eiji Tsuburaya is actually significant for the first few decades of tokusatsu. They used suitmation, as you can see in that photo over there. They had somebody dress up at least in the full body costume of Godzilla, which was a dinosaur type monster who was affected by nuclear holocaust. Because as most of us know, Japan is the only country in the world that has survived two atomic bombs being dropped on them. So they have this whole fascination about stuff. So ayan. So actually, just recently passed away. Actually, see Mr. Haruo Nakajima. He just passed away a couple of years ago. Okay. So for most of us, well, not most of us, but our fascination with tokusatsu, it's not limited to cinema, which was Godzilla. When they did television, you have Ultraman or Orotoman from 1966. This was produced again by Tsuburaya Productions, Eiji Tsuburaya again. It was actually preceded by another show called Ultra Q, but that was more of a Twilight Zone type of show in Japan. But in Ultraman, you had a superhero dressed in a suit. Um, the character of Shin Hayata of the Science Patrol transforms into a giant alien named Ultraman. And there's a weekly battle with a kaiju, like Godzilla was. Kaiju is a monster. And it was starred the actor Susumu Kurobe, who was 27 when he starred as Ultraman. For current fans of Ultraman, you might be fascinated to know that a Marvel comic limited series just started a couple of weeks ago. It's called The Rise of Ultraman. So the crossover appeal of Ultraman isn't limited to Japan or the Philippines. He was also big in the West, even in the US. So they have fans, and they got a tie-up between Toei and Marvel Comics. So that comic is ongoing right now. So the second issue is coming out in a couple of weeks. All right. So after Ultraman, you have Kamen Rider or Masked Rider. This is from 1971. It was created by manga artist Taro Ishinomori. The first Kamen Rider broadcast from April 3, 1971 to February 10, 1973 on Mainichi Broadcasting System. The college student Takeshi Hongo is kidnapped and turned into a mutant cyborg named Kamen Rider Ichigo by the terrorist organization known as Shocker. Hongo transforms with a driver. That belt is called the driver. It's always been that way. They call it the driver. And when he activates it and shouts Henshin, which literally means transform or change. Kamen Rider, because he wears a mask and he rides. There's a motorcycle. Most of the Kamen Riders have motorcycles that they ride into battle, except for Kamen Rider Drive, which was a bit different a couple of years ago. They used a car, but still, he was driving something. He rides a motorcycle and uses martial arts to battle Shocker forces. It starred Hiroshi Fujioka, who was 25 at the time, Fujioka is a stuntman, a former stuntman, and he still does movies and television shows. He actually appeared in the recent Kamen Rider reboot, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, and he's still in excellent shape for a man his age. Okay. Next, we have the Super Sentai series. This is what many of us really grew up and fell in love with. The first Super Sentai series was from 1975, also created by Shotaro Ishinomori, and it was Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger, or Secret Task Force 5 Ranger. That's the literal translation. Himitsu is secret, Sentai is task force, Go is 5, then Ranger is Ranger. In the Philippines, it was known as Star Rangers. It was shown on RPN 9. I don't know why I remember it was on RPN 9. Maybe it was because there was a clock at the edge back then. And the first Super Sentai series that it broadcast for a few years. It didn't just run one season. The average Super Sentai series runs around 48 episodes, but this totaled 84 episodes. Ran from April 5, 1975 to March 26, 1977. So the concept is a team of 5 agents of International Secret Defense Organization, EAGLE, battled the Black Cross Army. Okay. So the 5 are Tsuyoshi Kaijo, played by Naoya Makoto, Akira Shinmei, played by Hiroshi Miyauchi, Daita Oiwa, played by Baku Hatakeyama. He was subsequently replaced by Daigoro Mano, played by Jiro Daruma, before Daito Oiwa came back. Then Peggy Matsuyama was the first female there in the pink, as Lisa Komaki, played by Lisa Komaki, I'm sorry, and Kenji Asuka, played by Yukio Ito. So this set the stage for all Super Sentai to follow. 5 colorful warriors with specific weapons to them. And like in si Red, he uses a whip that comes out of his mask. Si Blue has an arrow there, so he uses an arrow called the Ao Cherry or Archery because it's the blue arrow. Si Pink, she uses bombs in her earrings. Si Green, may mga boomerang na lumalabas dun sa mask niya. Si Yellow, may mga remote control yun eh. Yun yung basis. So, dyan nagsimula lahat. All the Super Sentai that would follow, all call back to Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. Okay. Another series of Tokusatsu is the Metal Hero series. There were only actually 3 Metal Heroes. It began in 1982, created by Toei. It began with Uchu Keiji Gavan, literally means Space Sheriff Gavan. There were only 3 Metal Heroes, which was Gavan. It was followed by the Space Sheriff Sharivan, who was in red. If Gavan is in metal, in silver, Sharivan was in red. And the one that we most know is Shaider, of course, who was in blue. The character was half human, half alien member of the Galactic Union Police, who is assigned to protect the Earth from the Maku criminal organization. Gavan was played by the stuntman Kenji Oba. Again, here's another actor who was from those days. He also played Battle Kenya in Battle Fever J, another Super Sentai series, as well as Denji Blue in Denjiman, which is another Super Sentai series. Kenji Oba has come back several times over to Super Sentai, as well as to pass on the baton to the next generation Gavan. This all occurred over the past 5 to 10 years lang, because he's still very active for his age. Okay. You can't mention Super Sentai without mentioning Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, because it was adapted by Saban Entertainment from Toei, and it started with Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger in 1993. They took fight scenes from Super Sentai series. They reshot these scenes out of costumes, and reshot the scenes out of costume with American actors. But the fight scenes were all scenes from Zyuranger. This eventually resulted in 2 feature films. Ganun kalaki ang Power Rangers in the US in 1995 and 1997. And just 3 years ago, there was even a reboot film that was released. The next Super Sentai to be adapted is Kishiryu Sentai Ryusoldier. They're going to be renamed to Power Rangers Dino Fury by sometime next year, probably around February next year. Okay. And here are Super Sentai in the Philippines. I mentioned earlier Go Ranger, which became Star Rangers. Not a lot of people remember, but Jakku, which was the second Super Sentai there on the upper left corner, also made it to the Philippines. It's called Jakka Dengekitai in Japan, but here it was Jakku. The concept is their faces of cards. Okay. below Jakku there is another what was mentioned earlier, which is Bioman, Chodenshi Bioman, this was the series from 1986, but it came to the Philippines maybe a year or two after. This was followed then by Maskman over there in the upper right corner, and Jetman. There were other series that made it to the Philippines, including Turbo Ranger made it here. Five Man also made it to the Philippines, but these are some of the earlier ones. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, and other metal heroes, as mentioned earlier, these are, as I mentioned earlier, si Shaider, who was actually, the significance of Shaider is the actor was played by Hiroshi Tsurubaya, who is the grandson of Eiji Tsurubaya. So the character of Alexis, yung alam nating si Alexis, was actually in Japan. He was Dai Sawamura, the grandson of Eiji Tsurubaya. Unfortunately, he passed away due to liver cancer in 2001 because he was only age 37. He apparently became kind of an alcoholic after Shaider ended. I mentioned earlier Maskman. The significance of Maskman in the Philippines can't be ignored, because the actor who played Red Mask, or Michael Joe in the Philippines, Ryosuke Kaizu, is actually living in the Philippines now. A lot of people know that he lives, I think, in Pampanga, and he's been to some of the local conventions as well. After Shaider here, we have Mask Rider Black. Marami ring may kilala sa kanya. And on the right is Jan Person, who was another example of tokusatsu in the Philippines. So that's about it for my presentation. It's really short, but thank you so much for listening.
That was very, very educational. I think we could not have learned anything better than that. No, it was throwing me back. No, so I have a question. Ikaw, Cal, do you have a question first before I throw mine in?
Wala naman. I mean, everything, the timelines are just very much perfect. Parang, chef kiss kasi lahat tama eh. And at the back of my head, tama eh. Oo eh. Sobrang, everything is there if you are gonna start, or at least if you want to have the best sum of information, yun na yun.
Okay. How about you? Ikaw, Toto, do you have any question?
Hindi question kasi more on naalala ko yung kabataan ko, lumalabas yung edad ko.
So, yung tatanong mo kung ano ilang taon na si Sir Jason.
Hindi naman.
Kasing tanda ako ng Star Rangers. Okay, kasing tanda ako ng Star Rangers. Ganun ka-significant because I think dumating sila sa Pilipinas, medyo may awareness na ako. But kasing tanda ako nito, nandito, nakalagay dito kung ano, pero ayoko nang sabihin. Ayun. Thank you, Chalo.
All right, I do have a question, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes on this question, no. So, seeing that this is a Japanese culture, no, what would you guys say about VR Troopers being part of this? Yeah. Is VR Troopers a Super Sentai then, and part of?
I guess you could entertainment, it was adapted by the US also. Parang it's like Power Rangers. It's like yung tattooed teenage fighters from Beverly Hills, or yung Beetleborgs. They were all adapted, or an attempt to adapt a Japanese series for the American market. Although different levels of success yun. I don't think they succeeded as much. Although we remember them.
I think they only had one season of VR Troopers.
Yeah. A lot of them we remember on TV, but it's not like the Super Sentai or the Power Rangers franchise in the US na talagang inalagaan ni Haim Saban. You watch The Voice That Made Us, di ba? Nandun si Saban, and he talks about how they adapted it and they promoted it for a Western market, but somehow they've made it work. They haven't adapted all the Super Sentai series that have come since 1993. Like we were talking earlier before the broadcast about the TOKYUJIR, which is about trains, but because America doesn't have a strong train culture, adapted. But there are generally, even though tumagal ng konti, minsan hindi na-adapt agad. Like New Soldier is from mga 2 years, last year, 2 years ago. Pero ngayon pa lang yata. There are attempts, but it's not always successful.
Gotcha. So wait, may question si Ivan kanina, no? Were there any Filipino versions of Tokusatsu?
You can call yung Zaido, which was on
Ayan, Zaido.
Zaido.
Actually.
Wow. All right. Well, sige. Let's we'll have piggybacking on that one. No, we'll let go of Jason for a bit, and then we'll have him back for more questions later. So, thank you, Jason, for that very educational presentation about Tokusatsu and the Sentai culture. No, our next guest, Toto, diba, is your go-to store for this fandom. Go-to store. So, ililink namin din later yung kanyang Facebook page kapag for any orders, diba, ganyan. At saka, saan ang location nila lagi for TOYCON. Let's please bring back in PJ.
Hello.
Ayan. So,
Hello.
PJ Collectibles. Ayan. So,
tingnan ko, ibang items ko ata dito galing sa kanya eh.
Actually.
after knowing the
Yes, of
culture,
course.
after having that type of education, now you need to know where to get your collectibles.
Of course.
Gandang promo, di ba?
Yes.
Ayan. So,
The first step.
so
First step, order. Hindi. Kasi a lot of people, no, medyo nalilito sila regarding sa laruan. Kasi, obviously, when you go to Toy Kingdom, nakikita mo, Power Rangers. Diba? Tapos nakikita mo, Bandai America. Magugulat ka. Bakit iba? Tapos, pag pumunta sa convention, pagtingin sa booth ko, ba't iba? Kasi, yun. Yung toys ng Sentai.
I'll let you explain later, no? Pero the quality of the toys is completely different. Kasi, like,
Yes.
like when you guys do your booth selling, no, I'm gonna speak by experience dito. When we go to Japan, and I think Toto can attest to this. Like may mga parang $100 yen stores sila na where you actually can collect these toys kasi they're there, and then you can just pick it out. And that's how you guys actually distribute the toys then, 'di ba? Sometimes, well, yung iba.
Yung iba, meron.
May ganun kayo, 'di ba? So it's really really different from just walking into a toy store in a department store, 'di ba?
Iba kasi ang toy store sa Japan. Mas grabe yung laman.
Exactly.
Kasi they have toy stores for kids and then they have toy stores for collectors. It's different. So when you go to the 100 yen shops na pambata, iba ang laman. Then when you go into the really toy stores na pang-collector, iba din ang laman. Iba din ang presyo.
Iba rin ang presyo yun.
Yes, iba, malayo. Unlike sa States, when you go to Toys R Us, everything's there. Diba? Pagka nasa Toys R Us ka, pasok ka, Walmart, lahat ng toys nila, nakarank yan by age, tapos by genre. Sa Japan, hindi. Iba sila. Iba yung toy culture nila. When I go to the Gashapon area, yun yung mga 100 yen. Yung hulog barya, may makukuha bola, bubuksan mo. Yun yung mga pambata. Pang-collector, hindi. You have to go to a toy store talaga, makikita mo, naka-split yan. May anime section yan, Gundam, then mga Power Rangers, then mga robot. Naka-segregate yan maayos. Pagpasok mo.
Gotcha.
Saka malulula ka kasi usually ang toy store sa Japan, lalo na yung mga the big ones, isang buong floor yun. Walang ibang laraman kundi laruan.
Isang buong floor.
Isang buong floor.
Yeah.
As in, para kang pumasok sa building na puro laruan
si
lang.
Toto, naligaw sa isang store yan. Hindi namin makita.
For 2 hours.
Yung first time kong pumunta
Ayun,
sa Japan para mamili ng laruan, nahilo ko talaga. Yung
Ano?
pag-apak mo ng Akihabara, parang nasaan ako.
Exactly.
Sobrang dami na hindi mo alam where to start. Yun na lang yun.
Parang
Paglabas mo pa lang ng train station mo, may bubungad kagad sa'yo na building na, oh shit, ano to? And then, sunod-sunod na yun.
Parang pag umapak ka rin sa loob ng booth ng PJ Collectibles, di ba? Ibang-iba.
Para nakapunta ng Japan.
For anything else, we'll leave the floor to you, PJ, to actually do your show and tell, and then explain more about the collections of the Tokusatsu culture. All right, take it away, PJ.
Okay, hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, mga nanonood. My name is PJ Chua. I'm the owner of PJ Hobbies. Usually you see me in TOYCON sa mga events. My booth is always there and you'll see my display of my robots, the usual. Yung nasa likod ko ngayon, this is my personal collection that I picked from my shelf. bigla na lang akong tinawagan din nila Sir Cholo to do a presentation regarding the merchandise ng Tokusatsu. Ako kasi ang personal talaga na forte ko sa merchandise is Super Sentai robots. So on the back, you see here is a mixed bag of new and old Super Sentai toys. Now, what got me into this we call it rabbit hole before was before the shows, before nung bata ako, I was watching Bioman, Massman, then you have Shaider, syempre nung 90s, late 80s, early 90s, syempre nung bata tayo, we watched these shows, but we have no idea where to get the toys at that time. It was not available sa mga regular toy stores natin. So at that time, we had to go to certain stores, Green Hills, Goldcrest, Nova Fontana, if they have it. Swerte na lang kung meron. But most of the time, wala kasi they're selling American toys. Now, sa Sentai toys kasi, there are two distinctions. There are the American version and there's the Japanese version. Nalilito kasi karamihan ng tao about the American version and the Japanese version when they ask me, lalo na pag lumapit sa booth, ano yung difference ng American version sa Japanese version? Now, here's where it gets more confusing. In the early 90s, when Saban got the license of Power Rangers, when they released the toys in the States, these toys were repackaged Japanese toys. These were the Japanese versions na nirepackage nila for the American market. So the toy is almost basically the same as the Japanese toys, the mold and everything. They just changed the packaging and some stickers and accessories. Especially yung, let's say, yung sword. This one, behind me, this one, yung unang labas nito noong 1990 sa Japan, it was sold in separate boxes. Now, this is 3 robots combined into one. Ganon din ginawa nila sa States. But they changed the packaging na English. Siyempre, nakalagay. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Megazord. Yun yung nakasulat. And then they changed some of the accessories like yung mga shooting missiles at saka yung pointy swords. Wala yan. Sa Japan kasi noon, even though they're toys for children, like this one, look at this. Matulis siya eh, oh. Pero sa US, yung mga laruan na may mga ganitong sword, ginawa nila medyo purul para hindi daw makasundot ng mata ng bata. In Japan kasi, Super Sentai, in general, the toys are aimed at children. Usually mga 8 years old up to mga 15. Ganon. Sa States kasi, yun yung ang naging target market nito was supposed to be the same. Ang nangyari sa atin, mga matatanda ay nagko-collect imbis na bata. So, yun na naging parang difference. Pero yung pag-copy pag-repackage ng toys ng Japan to US, only lasted nung 90s. Pagdating ng mga year 2000 na, nagkaroon na ng sariling version sa States na they had their own molds, they had their own different na yung sizes ng robots. So, it's no longer the same. Also, the price. Kasi syempre, US dollar, iba, Japanese yen, iba. So, every time may pumupunta sa booth ko and they ask me, Sir, why is your robot different from the one that I saw in Toy Kingdom? Yun yung reason. I had to explain to them that yung nakikita nyo sa Toy Kingdom, that is the American version, which is different. So, it's not compatible with the Japanese version when you buy it. Kasi I had a customer before lumapit and asking me na bakit magkaiba, pareho lang naman daw yung design, pero bakit daw magkaiba? So, to our viewers, yun yung naging difference ng US sa Japan market. The US market is aimed at smaller kids. At iba yung may toy safety standards kasi sinusunod sa US by law. That's why some of the toys, they had to change materials. They had to change a lot of things like bawal yung mga shooting missiles, bawal yung pointy swords, and then the quality of plastic parang medyo rubbery para daw hindi daw makatusok ng tao, something like that. Sa Japan, it's kind of different because in most Japanese kasi yung collectors marami. So the toys are not just aimed for the young kids, it is also aimed for the adults. Now, sa Philippine scene, dati, these toys were not that hype noon kasi wala naman talagang distributor or importer sa Pilipinas ng Japanese version ng Power Ranger toys noon, ng Sentai toys. If I recall correctly, noon sa Green Hills, when you go to Nova Fontana, you can still see Mighty Morphin Power Ranger toys being sold there kasi galing US. But madalang makakita ng original version which is the Zyuranger by Bandai. Because at that time, there were no stores na mass market selling those Japanese version toys. Now, fast forward tayo, mga late 2000s, around 2005, 2006, sa Toycon, pag pumupunta ka, kaya pinupuntahan ng tao kasi meron mga sellers doon na they were able to get hold of these Japanese versions and they were selling it doon. But most of the time, nakikita mo loose, kulang-kulang, nakapatong lang sa mesa, ganon. I also started that way nung nag-start ako mag-collect ng Japanese toys. Sa Toycon din ako pumupunta para bumili. And then eventually, nung nagkaroon na ako ng contact sa Japan, then I was able to go there myself. Nakita ko talaga doon na it's a big market at wala sa Pinas. So, nag-uwi ako to, sell. At that time, wala pa Facebook, bago lang. So, I was invited to Toycon na mag-booth. Naki-share lang ako ng booth, nakisingit lang ako, saling kit-kit. And then, nag-display ako ng mga to. So, medyo, nung unang event ko, okay. May mga nagtanong, kinuha yung pangalan ko and nung time na yun, wala pa akong Facebook page. So, cellphone number lang binigay ko. Then my second Toycon, yun na, dinumog na ako ng tao asking about saan ko nakuha, magkano, ganon, the usual, mga tanong. So far, it's been almost 11 years na ako sa Toycon and people know my booth. Meaning mga suki ko, alam nila yung lugar ko, alam nila ano meron ko. And usually, I post my stuff naman online for them to see. Yung iba nga, minsan, online pa lang, sold na. Tapos, boom, pupunta lang sa booth ko, pipick upin na lang. Pero ang maganda sa Toycon din, pag pupunta tayo is the hunt itself. And for me, lalo na din sa ibang tao na they go to Toycon para makita nila yung mga hard to find, rare to find stuff. Kasi marami talaga dyan yung gaya nito. You don't see this every day in the malls. You don't see this every day in toy stores before. Lalo nung early 2010s, nung medyo sumikat na sa Pilipinas yung Super Sentai toys ng Japan, ng Japanese version. Ito kasi yung talagang hinahabol ng mga collectors kasi ito yung talagang tinatawag nila na premium yung quality at saka yung syempre it's more faithful to the show. Also, meron pa akong ipapakita sa inyo. Meron silang tinatawag dito sa mga toys na to. Example, this one, the Mega Ranger. This was released noong 1997 pa. No? Ito, Japanese version, may lagi rin silang nakasulat na DX sa tabi. You can see this here in the packaging. Now, the reason why it's DX, ang sa Japan, deluxe ang tawag nila dito eh. This is parang premium para sa kanila. Ito yung parang pang-collector at saka ito yung parang main line ng toy. DX ang nakasulat. Normally kasi may makikita ka na parang, pareho ng robot pero ba't mas maliit? Iba naman yon. Wala akong sample dito pero ang tawag nila doon, puradera. It's a more kiddie version of the toy of the certain series na yon. Yung tawag nila doon, puradera version. Pero syempre, collectors, they want DX. Now, move on tayo sa medyo bago. Like, ito, yung pinakasikat, favorite ni Toto, yung GOJIRA series. Now, the GOJIRA series, ito yung isa sa pinakapumatok na series sa Japan noong around 2011, 2012. Sa States, sumikat din siya. Kaya lang sa States, ginawa nila, medyo nabastardo ng konti yung series na to kasi they fused together two Sentai series into one show. Namely, GOJIRA and GOJIRA. Sa Japan, it's different. GOJIRA kasi is the celebration nila ng Super Sentai nila. This was supposed to be the, if I'm not mistaken, 35th anniversary ng Super Sentai wherein si Captain Marvelous, yung bida niyan, is able to use the powers of the old na mga lumang Sentai series na mga Rangers. Meron silang susi, nilalagay nila yun sa isang morpher nila, then they can transform temporarily into one of the old Sentai Rangers to borrow their abilities, skills, and powers. Yan, sobrang pumatok yung toy niyan kasi uso sa mga Sentai toys yung mga combining. Parang Transformers, yung isang mech, dalawang mech, nagbubuo, nagiging isang mech sila. Tapos meron pa sila mga accessories like yung mga assistant mechs nila na nagko-combine para nagiging isang malaking mech sila. Yan din pala yung beauty ng pag-collect ng Sentai toys. Yung mga Power Ranger toys. Kasi ito, hindi lang isang robot bibilin mo. Usually, bibili ka 2 to 3 pieces to form this ultimate robot na like this one. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers ng early 90s. The one I have here is the latest version, yung Soul of Chogokin diecast. Hindi ko mahanap yung vintage ko, nandun sa bodega, ayoko nakalkalin. So like this one. This is a combination of 3 robots. The main mech, the Dragon Zord, and the Ultra Zord na nandito. tatlong robot yan, bibilin mo. Kaya syempre sa collector, yan yung habol nila. Yung hindi lang isang robot, tapos ka na. Kailangan 2, 3 para matapos mo siya. The old robots, yung 80s, ito, yung tatay ni Bioman, mas matanda kay Bioman ng 1 taon, si Dynaman. Ganyan lang sila. Pag binili mo si Dynaman, it's just him. That's it. And then yung kasama lang niya, yung kanya shuttle carrier. Yung parang Bio Dragon niya. Yun pala yung difference ng toys nung 80s, 90s, papunta dun sa latest. Sa 80s, you only see one robot and then yung parang carrier nila na sasakyan and that's it. Tapos yung kanilang mga kotse, yung kanilang motorsiklo, yung accessories nila. Noong 90s, doon na uso yung combining mechs na. Yung bida, meron secondary mech, may tertiary mech, nag-merge sila into one mech. Then nung mga bandang early 2000s, doon na nag-start yung sobrang dami ng pyesa. Bawat ranger may sariling robot, nagko-combine, nagiging isang malaki. So yun yung difference nung lumang laruan sa bagong laruan. Also, there's also a difference in plastic quality. Obviously, the plastic quality of the newer toys, siyempre, mas technology, yung advance ng technology natin, mas maganda yung technology ng laruan ngayon. Mas maraming gimmick, mas matibay, playable siya ng mga bata. So, hindi siya madaling masira. Unlike the vintage ones noon, yung plastic medyo nagiging brittle over time. Siyempre, parang ito, pag nilaro mo yan ngayon sa bata, most likely, durog yan. Pero yung mga bago, pag pinalaro mo sa bata, hindi yan basta-basta masisira. Ayun, tapos sa mga viewers, para di may idea kayo, minsan nakikita nyo sa mall, nakalagay doon, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, nakalagay din doon Bandai. Pero Bandai of America kasi yon. So wag kayong magtataka, pag pumunta kayo ng TOYCON, makikita nyo, iba yung same yung itsura, pero bakit iba? Yun yung reason, because US version toys and Japanese version toys are not the same. They're totally different talaga. They look the same, but the quality, the build, the size, totally different. And also, the price is different. Mas mahal ng mga laruan na to sa Japan kaysa yung US versions. May reason yun kasi yung quality ng US version toys is geared towards mga mas younger na children compared sa Japan. And also, kaya yung in TOYCON, masaya, pinupuntahan ng collectors is because ito yung mga hinahanap nila. Kasi you don't see these every day in your everyday malls. Pero ngayon, sa mga toy stores sa Greenlands, meron na rin from time to time, meron din mga sumusulpot na ganito, pero hindi pa rin siya ganun commonplace. Hindi siya kasi mainstream katulad ng Transformers or ng mga Marvel Legends. Kasi ito, medyo, aminin na natin, yung toys niya medyo pricey din pag bibili ka kasi hindi siya katulad ng mga 1,000, makakabili ka na ng isang figure, no? Sa Sentai, at least minimum, meron kang 1,500 to 2,000 kung loose. Ngayon, kung naka-box, syempre, mas mahal. The only reason bakit tinatangkilik tayo ng loose kasi, in my case, I source my items in Japan directly. So, ako personally ang namimili nito. Hindi ko siya binibili online. I go there, I buy it, I bring it home here, and I sell it at an affordable price to collectors dito sa Pilipinas. So, it's been almost a decade na marami na akong nabentahan. So, yun. So far, sana yung pandemic matapos na para makapag-TOYCON na ulit tayo at magkita-kita ulit tayo. That's it, I guess. Okay, that's it.
Kal, nakamute ko ulit FYI.
Ayan. Any questions kayo? May mga tanong ba kayo? Anything?
Yes, may tanong yung dalawang yan.
Sige.
Ako, lang, it's from a collector to another, ano yung pinakauna mong laruan and how memorable was it?
Ay, yung pinakauna ko talaga is yung palengke toys na Biorobo. Naalala mo yon? Yung nabibili na sa palengke. Yung kulay green na may pink na ewan, tapos nakakalas na yun. Nakuha sa chichirya noon. Kasi wala akong pera noon, so I could only afford that. That was 2 pesos, isang balot. Tapos tsatsambahan mo kung makukuha mo yung tamang pyesa.
Kasi kadalasan 2 kamay tapos
yes, oo, yun yung una ko memorable experience.
I remember that now that you guys mentioned.
Yung mga pinantatanching pa sa laro.
Ayun.
Yun. Pero nung college na, nung medyo nagkaroon na ako ng part-time work, yun na nag-start na ako mag-ipon kasi Pumupunta ako dati sa Nova Fontana, nakakita ako ng Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, naka-display lang sa labas. Magkano lang ang Megazord noon? 1.5. Sabi ko, ang sahod ko every week, 150 to 200. Diba, kaya ko ipunin ng 2 buwan, di ba? Yun yung first ever toy na binili ko with my own money. Bumili ako ng Megazord. Naalala ko yung binili ko sa Gold Crest pa sa Makati.
Wow.
At that time, that was 1995, 96 at that time. Talagang nag-jeep pa ako from dyan sa May Libertad. Pinuntahan ko pa yung Gogo, nilakad ko. Kasi nagtitipid ako, eksakto na yung pera ko.
I was gonna ask nga, have you, nag-ano ka na ba, yung tipong lumakbay ka na ba para makakuha ka lang ng collection mo na...
Pumunta ako ng Japan.
Oh,
Straight to the point. Right?
I've been there more than 10 times na. Doon ako nagsasource eh.
Okay.
Kasi ang gusto ko, pag bumibili ako ng Sentai toys, ayoko nung minsan naka-box kasi marami sa mga customers natin gusto ma-acquire ng mas mura.
Exactly.
So, okay lang ang loose. Meaning, basta kompleto naman siya at hindi sira, why not? Yan, si Toto, alam niya, nakikita niya lagi subot, kinakalikot niya yung mga nasa lamesa eh.
Ito ang magandang
Diba?
question sa galing audience.
Oo. Kaya lang, ang maganda lang sa Japan kasi, sobrang ingat nila sa laruan nila. So even if you buy it sa mga second-hand store nila, it's relatively in good condition. Wala lang box. And it's not that pricey.
That's where
when
we
you're there.
actually go nga nila Toto pag nasa Japan kami. It's usually dun sa mga second-hand stores.
Yeah, yun talaga. Pero sometimes yung mga brand new nila, okay din pag nag-sale sila. Let's say tapos na yung series. Yung last year, di ba? Then pagbalik mo sa, let's say, punta ka Mandarake o punta ka ng makikita mo yung last year na series, naka 50 off na.
More than pa nga eh.
Yes, more than minsan,
More
lalo na pag hindi sumikat yung series. Nangyayari yun eh. It happens. Pag hindi sumikat yung series, it's really up to 75% off you can buy it.
So, madalas Mandarake ang pinupunta.
Yes, Mandarake talaga. Kasi yung talagang tambakan eh. Tawag namin yung tambakan.
Manday kami madalas eh.
Basta pag nakahanap ka ng Mandarake, yun. Tapos yung sa Pilipinas, ang naging uso to, sa ukay-ukay kasi, di ba, yung mga surplus.
Yes.
Problema naman doon, bahala ka sa buhay mo doon, magkalkal. Kasi nakatambak lang yan sa isang kahon eh.
Yeah.
Minsan kulang-kulang, di ba?
Ayan.
Ang maganda lang dyan, ako, in my case, minsan nakabili ako sa Japan ng kulang. Minsan dito sa Pilipinas, mahahanap ko yung kulang eh. Nasa ukay-ukay. Nasa sa karton, yan yung kulang ko Di ba? Kaya lang, syempre, ang pangit lang sa ukay-ukay dito, syempre, yan yung mga pinagtapon na sa Japan eh. So, minsan may kalawang. Minsan may amoy, yung mga nabaha. Kaya minsan hindi din advisable bumili sa ganun kasi, alam mo na. Pero minsan, may mga...
If you're really a collector, no? Na hindi...
You will buy the new ones. Like me, I buy it new talaga. And I open it, display ko siya. Pero hindi mo na masisi yung iba kasi siyempre yung iba nakatira, kapitbahay, ukay-ukay, nakikita araw-araw eh. So you can't blame them din, di ba?
Yeah,
pero
so
ang maganda naman
collection.
sa Sentai Toys, right now medyo nagiging mainstream na siya sa atin, sa Pinas eh, unlike before. Dati maghanap ka ng laruan, kahit saan ka maghalugalo, wala kang makikita eh. Pero ngayon, punta ka lang ng TOYCON, sigurado may makikita kang seller, may binibenta. Yun yung kagandahan. Actually, TOYCON na nagmulat sa akin yan eh. Nung pumunta ako noong mga 2006, 2007, may mga nagbebenta eh. Eh yung seller, hindi rin niya alam yung binibenta niya. Kumbaga parang nilatag lang sa lamesa, meron ako nito, bilhin nyo, ganun. Doon ako nagkaroon interest talaga. Before the shows, I actually started the toys. Ang laruan nag-pull sa akin sa Super Sentai nung itong lately na. Laruan na talaga. Sobrang ganda ng toys eh. Bilang matanda, nalalaro natin sila eh, di ba? Parang naaaliw ka, di ba? Di ba? Yun yung beauty.
Teka,
for all ages.
May question si Jiggy Aquino Cruz earlier, no? Is there a Grail mech that you still need to get?
In my case, wala na. I have my Bio Robo already and I have my Mass Robo in the storage. So, in my case, ako wala na.
Wala na.
Wala.
So,
unless they produce something new again, like i-reissue ang Bio Robo, gawin niyang SOC.
Ito, ako, this is my question. Toto, ikaw muna. Do you have a question muna na ano?
May naitaonin na galing audience eh. Pinakamahal na DX robot na nabili mo.
Si Masman, yung Mass Robo talaga. I had to buy it in Japan talaga.
Ilang
I bought it loose.
Ito ko last time.
Yes, yun. I bought it loose Hindi ko siya
Akihabara?
nabili ng with box kasi sobrang mahal. Yung with box niya, pag kinonvert mo yung presyo natin, nasa 100 plus eh. 1,000 pesos eh.
Yeah.
In box.
Steam condition na yun.
Yun yung super
nakita ko
mint.
sa Akihabara.
Parang ka nag-time travel ng ano.
So,
ng 80s.
in overall, no, tatanong ko sa'yo, aside from the stuff that you sell in your store,
Yes.
ilang figures na yung collection mo?
Yung current,
Yung current collection mo, like yung sa'yo lang, ilang figures na yan?
I have the main mech of every series.
So,
except for 2.
Mga magkano na yung nagastos?
Ayokong bilangin, hihimatayin ako.
Yan ang huwag mo tatanong sa collector.
You don't ask that question. Tabu yan, tabu.
Wag mo tatanungin.
Nobody asked that. Tabu yan. Pero in my case naman is, aware naman si Mrs. Alam niya. Actually, siya kasama ko sa Japan naghahalungkat. Siya yung kasama ko
may libreng tour naman kasi siya.
Hindi, actually, ang ginagawa ko nga pag nagbabakasyon ako sa Japan, sinasabay ko yung business and pleasure in one.
Gotcha.
Para yung biyahe mo sulit, di ba?
I mean, that's how you do it naman din eh.
Kasi, and yung eye candy, yung titingin ka lang sa stante, hindi mo mabili kasi sobrang mahal. If you've seen the Bioman nila doon na sobrang mint, as in super mint with all the stickers intact, gaganon ka na lang, lalaway ka na lang, tapos aalis ka, pipicturean mo. Yun na yun.
Yeah.
Yung presyo ng Masman na robot, budget natin dalawa pang buong Japan trip natin yung.
Yes, tama yun. Tama yun.
yung
kasama na dun yung 5 days mo natulog tsaka kain. Yun na yun. Yeah. Totoo yun. So,
yan. Sige. So, yung question ni Johnny Lo, no, I'll hold on to that question for later.
Yeah.
Kasi, so, it's addressed to everyone, no? So, like, later on, once we bring everyone back in, we'll definitely ask that question. So, thank you so much, PJ, for your presentation. We'll talk to you more later. Ayan.
Okay, sige.
Sige. Ayan. So, now, asan tayo? All right. So, we had the fan earlier. We had the toy collector, and now we're moving on to the fan culture for tonight's episode. As explained earlier, Tokusatsu Kalno is a special effect film genre in Japan, right? Mm-hmm. And our next presenter has had this as his influence in creating his film. Back in 2013, there was a film that was released that was set in like 1990, no? To tell the story of George Bustamante, an overseas Filipino worker in Japan, to support his son and loving wife, and ends up as a suit actor for a new Sentai series. Let's please welcome back the director of the 2013 movie, Blue Bustamante, Direct Miko Livelo.
Yay!
Sobrang bago ng movie, no?
Totoy na kaya. Akala ko si Totoy feature natin eh. Hi, Nico. How are you?
Hi,
So we're so excited to actually, learn more about your the influence that this entire culture has influenced your directing stuff. Sorry. So
thank you for having me.
I'll leave you the floor and take it away, Miko.
Yes. Okay, sorry. Paano sino mag-open ng PowerPoint doon?
Yeah. So,
So, gumawa ko na sobrang seryosong presentation. So, pinaghirapan ko siya ng todo. So, I don't know how I'm gonna share it though. Yan. Wow. Laki niya. Nakikita niyo ba, guys? May title pa ako na sobrang legit. Sorry, hi. So, habang inayos pa nila, my name is Miko Livelo. I'm a Filipino filmmaker. Wala sa itsura ko yung Filipino, pero Filipino maker ako. And, I'm gonna talk about, wala ako masyadong alam sa recent na nangyari ngayon sa mga tokusatsu and sentai. But I'm that kind of person na lumaki rin. No? Ako yung tipong literal na batang 90s na yan yung nakasulat sa IMDb ko best friendly noong 1999. Most penmanship noong 1998. Sige, next slide. So, like lahat na nandito ngayon sa panel, I'm one of those people na grew up watching these kinds of show. Mas nadikit ako sa, I don't know, Japanese entertainment more so Western. I mean, alam ko, nung time na to, kasabi natin yung cartoons and stuff. Pero for some reason, sobrang mas dumikit ako sa ganitong klaseng genre. Maybe it's because the monsters, the costumes, the quirkiness of the story, and there's just something new. Hindi naman new, but there's just something entertaining when it comes to Japanese live action shows. Now, I'm gonna talk slight about how it affected us here in the Philippines. Kasi next slide. Yes, okay. So, nabanggit kanina ko yung mga lumbas na tokusatsu before. And yung unang tumakbo agad sa isip ko is Kabayo Kids and Super Ranger Kids kasi sila yung naalala ko nun yung mga rentahan pa ng mga Betamax VHS. Nakita ko yung mga statements parang syempre when you see something na 5 tao naka-suit, helmet, and naka-costume, automatic mapasok sa'yo. It's a ang tawag ko nun syempre bioman lang. I didn't know the term sentai hanggang tumanda na ako. Pero it's naging ano na siya, like a pop culture reference for everything. Hanggang ngayon naman, we're still doing it. It's obviously done by Hygienic sa commercial sila, yung Shower Rangers. Hindi ko na kung nakita niyo siya. 7-Eleven used that kind of niche din of using tokusatsu, or I mean like, sentai type. Kanina pinag-usapan niyo Zaido. At least yun yung isa mga attempts of reviving something nostalgic and tokusatsu for us noon. Kaya lang alam natin kung ano nangyari doon. And isa ako sa mga na semi-heartbroken on it. Pero hindi natin siya pag-usapan kasi it's a very, very sad day for my life. Anyway, so these things, nag-exist siya kasi, na-expose tayo sa ganitong entertainment. We're growing up. I'm 35 years old right now. So, kung sino man yung maka-age ko, nasa age bracket of 30s, late 30s or early 30s, alam nyo, imposibleng hindi kayo na-expose sa ganitong klase. Hindi ako athletic na kid ng bata, so babad lang ako sa TV. So, this was my entertainment. Okay, so next slide. Sorry, voice-activated yung slide here. So, I'm gonna stick with this shows kasi, obviously, I've been talking about Blue Bustamante na sobrang ang weird na pinag-uusapan ko pa rin siya after all these years. But for some reason, ang lakas ng effect ng ganito klaseng shows sa akin, which are the Sentai na 5 tao, iba't ibang kulay, by numbers, may kanya-kanyang weapons, may kanya-kanyang, like, per character, meron silang parang kanya-kanyang ugali. And pag bata ka and you have friends, ang dali agad, mamili kung sino yung gusto mo. For me, it's obviously, I like the blue one. Kahit Baskman or sa Bioman, parang, pag may nakita akong blue, akin yan. That's me. Kung ano man yung backstory niya, wala akong pake. Because I just, for some reason, mahilig ako sa color blue. So, So, growing up, hindi ko naman expect na maging filmmaker ako. But there was a time na we're just doing like dumb videos. And, sorry, next slide. Voice activated. Yan. So, binanggit ko kanina was Blue Bustamante. Before I go here, papaalala ko sa mga tao, it's out in YouTube right now for free. Alam kong marami nagme-message sa akin for years now asking like a copy for this. So, I'm happy that Cinema One released it in the public during the lockdown, and for some reason, nagkaroon ako ng new, I don't know, fans about it, or mga di nakaabot noon get a chance to watch it. Lalo na yung mga nasa ibang bansa. So, Blue Bustamante is something na I came up with because for my love of, watching the Sentai and the whole Tokusatsu type. And it's close to my heart because it's a father and son story. Na it's about a father na who worked in Japan and ended up as a suit actor na siya yung blue, hence Blue Bustamante. Kasi yung dad ko rin naging OFW and medyo wala siya ng ibang times nung I was growing up. So when I had the chance to pitch a movie for the Cinema One Originals, isa to sa mga pinasa ko na hindi ko naman na-expect na kunin nila. And nandiyan na siya ngayon. Enjoy watching. But before I go into that more, I'm gonna go back to 2009. Sorry, next slide. We did this 2009. That's my first job in Mad Banana Inc. As a motion graphics editor. And may contest usually done parang every year na. Every Christmas, we have to do this Christmas video. Parang bahatiin yung company to 2 groups. Tapos gagawin siyang, parang gagawa kami ng short film about Christmas. So, isa ako dun sa isang team. Tapos nag-isip ka ng ano bang pwede namin paglaruan regarding Christmas. Hindi na ano. And naalala ko, iba-ibang kulay, baliwanag, ganyan. So, I suggested, gawa ka ng parang Sentai inspired short film about Christmas. So, next slide. So, 2009, me and my co-workers made Super Generic Epic 5. Nasa YouTube din siya, like 10 years na siya, or 11 years siguro by now. So, at lahat ng mga nakita dyan, mga co-workers ko, and again, mas sanay ako gumawa ng comedy. So, kung napapansin niyo yung mga pangalan namin dyan, sila Red Rubio, Pink Panganiban, Green Gingona, Yellow Yabut, tsaka yung robot nila na si Scotty Titen. Lahat yan parang ginawa lang namin sa parking lot sa may Ortigas, along Emerald, yung parking lot doon. Doon namin siya shoot on a Saturday afternoon. Sorry, next slide. So kaya ako nakapita yan kasi I played the role of Blue Bustamante. That was my name. I played the Blue. Kotse ko yun nandun na tinutulak nila. I played the character Blue Bustamante there. Siyempre wala naman siyang, hindi ko na nag-isip ako ng pwedeng i-rhyme sa Blue na last name, and for some reason, nalala ko si Django Bustamante. Anyway, so yun. So nangyari siya. And nakakatawa na kasi nanalo kami ng time na to. At baliban doon, sinali ko siya sa TOYCON back in 2010 or 11, kung di ako nagkakamali, for a fan film contest before. And we won. Nakalimutan ko na kung ano yung prize namin noon, pero sobrang tawang-tawa lang ako na we won something from our stupidity. So, years after, lipat-lipat ang job, nagmukha akong, nakakuha ako ng film school, and I started writing, I started learning how to direct, how to make a film. So, sorry, next slide. So, I had the chance to pitch a movie for Cinnamon Originals 2013, and that came from Blue Bustamante. The poster is made by the great JP Cuson. Sobrang matagal na rin ng friend. Siya yung gumawa ng Barangay Captain, kung naalala yung show na yun. And siya is a Kiko machine. And malaking factor din yung Kiko machine kasi I used 2 of their music soundtracks sa movie na to. So thank you guys if you're watching. So anyway, JP made this poster na sobrang mind blown ako kasi I never expected na he would do something awesome like this. So so I made Blue Bustamante, and yung cast niya nun was, sorry, next slide. Ayan, so yung kaya kinukwento ko kanina, parang nung 90s ng bata ako growing up, medyo napasok ko dito yung things that I enjoyed growing up din. Ako yung mukhang Santo Niño dun sa pinaka-left. Mga pinagdadaanan ata ako ng time na to. Pero I made a film na, ayoko na to go to details sa story, pero I made a film na to show my love for this kind of genre. Kasi, there's just something that these shows give something out. I mean, parang pag nakita ka ng 5 tao na nakahileras, may sumasabog sa likod, sobrang parang kinikilig pa rin ako hanggang ngayon seeing it. So I had the chance to make my own Tokusatsu team, in-invento namin. Gumawa ko ng inventong team dito called Force 5. And so gumawa ko ng scenario na yung mga bata nanonood sa bahay, tapos pinapanood nila ng show, is a Filipino dub show sa Japan na hindi alam ng kid na yung tatay pala niya ay yung suit actor na Blue, and hindi alam ng tatay na yung idol ng anak niya ay si Blue. So it goes to the aspects of superheroes na superheroes as sentai, superheroes as fathers sacrificing their lives, their jobs sa ibang bansa, and OFWs din. Kasi nung time na to, alam ko lahat ng mga stories natin about OFWs are bleak. So, like yung contemplation story ata ng time na. Anyway, walang charming or fun story about it. So, parang it all came to the place na parang nung I made a film about this, nagdikit-dikit na siya. So, parang, next slide. So, nung lumabas siya, I had the chance to fly to Japan. Nagpunta kami sa somewhere province area, Yamanashi area, and this is my first time going to Japan. Now, I wrote the film dahil gusto ko lang, excuse ko lang siya para pumunta ng Japan. So, nung nakuha kami, yun agad yung una namin ginawa, like find a place there. Pero ang problem na, super low budget kami. And kung saan lang kami, nagtatago kami sa mga police doon pag nag-shoot kami, pero we met a lot of people. Kung nakikita may picture dyan ng mga high school kids na nakita lang namin sa gilid nakatambay, tapos kinausap namin kung pwedeng tumawid na lang sila. And doon sila sa pelikula, sila yung high school team na tumatawid. kung napapansin niyo sa baba, may picture na parang Bicol Express na restaurant. Naghanap kami ng location for restaurant location. Nakita namin siya. And true enough, panay Pinoy yung nagtatrabaho doon. Tinayagan niya kami mag-shoot doon kasi nakita nila si Joem Bascon. So, siyempre, si Joem, ginamitan niya na. No? So anyway, so it's a super, super fun project and super hirap kasi it was my first film. I'm gonna be honest, hindi siya yung the best film na mapapanood mo right now. But if you're a father in this age and you long for these kinds of shows, baka there's a chance na you might enjoy this movie. Okay, sorry, next slide. So, dahil sa movie na yun, I had the chance to be invited to Osaka Film Festival. And sobrang surreal sa akin nun kasi parang I went to Osaka to show my movie about Japanese live action to Japanese. And sobrang dito ko na-realize na some of them didn't realize na yung shows nila ay umaabot sa Pilipinas. Like nung nag-talk ako about it, kailangan ko explain sa kanila na napanood natin yung Voltes 5, alam natin yung mga Sentai, Tokusatsu, entertainment. So parang lahat sila parang, wow, okay, hindi kami aware nun. So parang, for them, I mean, para sa akin, parang full circle na I presented the project inspired by their own shows to them. And by exhibition lang siya, so parang in-invite lang ako siguro, nakulitan sila dun sa project. Yung picture sa baba, that's Eugene Domingo and the director Gerald Tarog, also known as the guy who made General Luna, were part of that batch that they invited. So it's super surreal situation for me, pero I'm happy that I get the chance to share it to them. And again, sobrang semi na mind blown sila. Semi kasi di ko naintindihan yung sinabi nila. But lahat sila just talking about how I was inspired about the whole thing, and because that you guys are doing it so well. So anyway, sorry, next slide. So again, since I'm in TOYCON, kailangan ko i-share to na back in 2014 nata to. Kinulit ko sila as na kung pwedeng manggulo kami sa TOYCON. Again, sorry, hindi ko alam kung anong year exactly to, pero nagbenta kami ng mga merch and posters, and kasama namin sila June, si Joem, and we had fun that time kasi parang for the longest time in going to TOYCON and to be like part of it, for some reasons parang, nagawa na namin siya. So parang, yay, thanks TOYCON, and I'm back here again ranting about Blue Bustamante. Sorry, next slide. So with that movie, gusto ko mapakita lang to kasi that's Ralph, hindi ako nagkakamali. And sorry, I have to give the shout out to Ivan Valerio if he's watching or something. He's the one who made the costume. Sa kanya, siya yung una kong na-meet who lectured me about the whole Sentai thing, and he made the costume of Blue Bustamante. And Ralph here was the first one to cosplay Blue Bustamante. Hindi ko alam kung saan niya ginawa to, pero nung nakita ko to parang, okay, siguro I kind of made it because someone dressed up as Blue Bustamante. On the right is, nung nag-premiere kami, nagpagawa kami sa INS or Imagination Studios, kila Lawrence and kay Milchi, shout out. Nagpagawa ko like 100 piece lang ng toy ni Blue Bustamante. And surreal sa akin kasi I've been collecting toys. And for me to create a merchandise out of my movies, like a stupid dream of me. So we made this. Isa na lang ata yung natitira sa akin. Ito na yung natatanggal lang ang kamay. But this is one of one kasi ito yung parang prototype version. And I'm super happy with it. So parang pag tumanda ako, at least masabi ko na, may action figure ba yung pelikula mo? Wala. Ako meron. So, boom. So, sorry. Next slide. So, okay. So, I want to stop here kasi I want to go back lang na yun. The whole Sentai thing has been part of us na growing up. Kahit kids na later on na pinanganak, I know when they see people dressed up in different colors, automatic papasok sa kanila yung the whole Sentai look na para, okay, Power Rangers. Automatic sabihin na Power Rangers kasi mas, parang for some medyo mixed na yung the whole Japanese Sentai and the Power Rangers. So part na siya ng subculture. We use it to films. We use it pag may nakita tayo agad na nag-shoot ng miniatures or mga kaiju stuff, automatic naisip natin yung mga past shows na napanood natin. And nabanggit ko kanina na Blue Bustamante is inspired by Sentai. Sorry, next slide. So, gusto ko lang i-share to kasi kung sakaling natuloy yung TOYCON this year, I was gonna ask Az and some of the TOYCON guys if you could guest sa susunod na TOYCON, but obviously COVID happened and na-stop yun. So before I end, I just gotta share this super sweet, sweet. There's something we've been doing before COVID happened. So Blue Bustamante was around 2013, and last year, 2019, me and Mick Vergara, who's also a filmmaker, and si Mick Vergara yung gumanap na blue Japanese character sa Blue Bustamante. If you watch it, that's Mick Vergara. So this year supposedly, nakuha kami sa parang isang contest na makukuha sila iba-ibang pilot for different countries, and supposedly kami yung parang first Filipino representative to go there. And we made the show. Sorry, next slide. Kaya ko iniwan yan. We made the show called Carpyman. Now, this is the first time I'm gonna be talking about it publicly kasi nakuha na namin yung rights ulit. Something happened, so medyo na-delay and things happened. So, we shot a pilot of Carpyman na kung napapansin sa title, it's basically we mix the whole Ultra series with Bernardo Carpio. So, that's our dumb take on the whole thing. And yes, I'm still doing Toku-inspired movies and writing about it. Sorry, next slide. Ito lang yung pwede kong muna pakita right now. But for this time, nagpatulong kami kay Kamen Rider Nimoy for the helmet and kila Ivan ulit for the costume. It's been like 8 years since, or 7. But anyway, it's been years after Blue Bustamante, and parang nagkaroon kami ng chance ulit to do another Toku-inspired show. It's a series, hindi siya movie. And we're shopping it to different producers right now. Pero hopefully malabas namin yung kahit yung pilot lang within this year, kasi alam nating with the whole thing happening, medyo weird ngayon yung atmosphere ng watching movies and series. So, yun. Di ko alam kung may nakuha kayo about it, but thank you again for inviting me. Sorry, next slide. Meron pa bang slide after yan? Wala. Okay. Nilagay ko lang yan for fun. Kasi parati ko siya nakikita na di ko na siya naintindihan. So, ngayon nandiyan na siya. So, naintindihan ko na siya. So, yun lang. Thank you. And back to you guys. Paano ba sinasabi?
Owari. Yeah. That was awesome. Again, Miko, congratulations for actually getting yung Super Ninja in Manila, no? If I'm not mistaken, yes, congratulations to that as well. And then I've been seeing some questions with the audience, no, like may sequel raw ba ang Galaxy Ranger, or may sequel ba tayo ng Blue Bustamante? But it's actually a good movie. I don't know if my two co-hosts have seen it. Have you guys seen it? Well, you should.
Okay lang. Yeah. No pressure, guys. Nasa YouTube lang.
No, but really, kasi I've rewatched it, and it was for its time and for something that you've actually made. It's proudly Filipino made, then. So I'm actually very, very, very proud of that as well. I do have a question, when it comes to with your creative process with Blue Bustamante, or like in general in creating these films. What's your creative process or thought to it?
So bale naglalasing muna ako, tapos paglasing no creative process usually nangyayari usually pag kuwari script writing workshop is I usually get something na I grew up with, or yung personal experience. So obviously Blue Bustamante was close to me because basically ako yun na growing up, and I just mixed my relationship with my dad and my love for Super Sentai. So I came up with that. So for anyone listening right now, if the whole aspect of paano magsulat na like the first film, start with something you know and experience. Kasi sometimes it's the best tool or best story you could share to anyone.
Okay. So when you guys were filming in Japan, how long was that compared to like ano ba? Like was that was it mainly filmed there or like just a couple of shots or parang ano how was the process in creating Blue Bustamante na ano?
Okay, no. So mix siya ng shot na Philippines and Japan. Sa Philippines dito namin sinut obviously yung bahay niya sa Pilipinas. And nakahanap kami ng magandang quarry sa Antipolo. I mean, tokusatsu show.
Okay, yes.
Quarry. So, may nahanap kaming sobrang
Standard
perfect.
quarry.
Di ko alam kung nag-exist pa siya o baka may tinayo na doon. Pero, nung nakita ko siya, parang sinabi ko na parang, yes! Get this place.
Standard ng quarry sa Tokusatsu.
So, di ko lang, bila lang nagpupunta sila sa quarry.
Pag sinuntok ka, lumipad ka, quarry ka agad yun.
Diba? Yun yung magic. Parang kinuha ko syempre yung mga points sa Super Sentai. So sa Japan, we just shot the exterior kasi obviously the character needs to go to Japan because he's an OFW and we went to a northern part ng Japan, medyo province area para kasi wala kaming permit. Yun yung problem namin. So we went there. Alam na nila. Hindi na ako mahuli. So parang ang tawag nito. So nag-shoot na kami dun sa quiet areas in Japan. And di kami pinapansin ng kahit sino. Nakakatawa lang kasi may dumaan na news broadcasting camera crew habang nag-shoot kami. And gines nila kami dun sa isang part ng show. As in, on cam kami, may host, tapos kinakausap kami. Tapos kami nila Jun sa Baito natin Joem, parang gumagano lang kami. Yay! As in, sobrang sabaw nung moment. But,
lang, no, para blend in, no?
Yes.
You guys have gone through a lot just making this movie, no? And it's really one.
No?
It's really so and I know we featured it as well in TOYCON 2013 ba or 14 ba yun? Yung
Actually, Michael, that was 2014.
2014.
Nasa Mexico tayo nun. And
yes.
the reason why I remember it, sorry, pasok lang ng konti, it was because I was part of the production sa stage and sila na dapat yung aakyat nun. And I was tasked to look for Joem Bascor. And the first person I asked sa group nila was Joem Bascor. Sobrang sabaw ko nun. Sabi ko, Joem Bascor. Tinignan lang niya ako and he was like, ako yun. Sabi ko, oh, sorry. I first said sorry. Kayo na po yung sa stage, sunod na lang kayo sa akin. And until matapos yun, sobrang hiyang-hiya ako kay Joem. But sobrang fun yung experience.
And then you also have a toy line for the show, diba? Like
ano lang yan for me lang yan actually.
For you.
Sobrang.
Napaka-limited edition pala yan.
Binenta lang namin siya nung premiere ng movie sa Glorieta.
So it's really a limited edition.
Yeah, 100. Sorry, sandali. Yeah. Sorry, natanggal na yung kamay. Pero, ganun siya kaluma na. Pero, resin made siya by Ints.
Mas mahal, resin.
Resin. Kasi, I mean, syempre, obviously, I can't do vinyl, soft vinyl here. So, parang, sila Milchi and Lawrence did an awesome job of like, pati packaging niya yung
plastic. Yeah.
Plastic.
Wow.
Sorry, ito yung pan-display. Syempre, ito, figure. Ito yung pan-display. Ito yung...
Pero in a sense, no, since this is TOYCON altogether, no, I just want to ask then, are you also a toy collector when it comes to?
Yes, actually, reflex lang ako ng konting-konti kasi na-engage ako sa ibang toys. So, when I had the chance to go to Osaka, yung festival, doon ko syempre na-discover yung Mandrake. Hindi ko lang kung tama yung pronunciation.
Yes,
Mandrake ba?
Mandrake.
Actually,
Mandrake. So I had the chance, syempre, may budget na ako, may pera na ako to buy toys. I never had any Toku toys before growing up kasi semi-poor kami. So I ended up, nakakuha ko nung like the real action. So yung big three ko is si Shaider. And alam ko maraming Ultraman na toys na to, pero yung kinuha kong Ultraman, yung disfigured yung mukha niya.
Yung mukha niya.
Yung kasi parang sobrang ang fun ng disfigured na look niya sa shows. So parang ito lang tatlo yung binili ko kasi sila yung like the big three shows na I like watching. So, ang hirap mangolekta ng ganyan kalaki na sentai.
Medyo may kamahal.
Actually, may kamahal yun. Pero, it's as show accurate as it can get for that.
And sorry, I'm gonna share just one stupid toy na I enjoyed. Na super fan ako, hindi ko na kung alam ng mga tao. There's this anime called Astro Fighter Sunred. Hindi ko lang kung aware. And so, nung nakita ko yung anime niya, sobrang tawa ako ng tawa kasi it's a parody of the whole hawak ko pala siya sa bayag. Sorry. So, galit siya. Sorry.
Wholesome tayo, wholesome.
Sorry. Sobrang nag-enjoy ako dito kasi yung action figure niya is a guy na naka-t-shirt tapos may grocery bag na parang sabi ko, Super Sentai ba to? So, binili ko siya and tsaka ko lang naparad yung anime niya. So, parang sobrang happy ako na na-discover ko siya. So, yun lang I guess pwede ko ma-flex.
Wow. It's something to flex for still naman. So yes, thank you so much, Miko. So let's bring our guests back in, our prestigious guests. Yan, si PJ, si Jason, and Miko for ayan. Hi, welcome back, guys. Ayan.
Hello.
So, before we head on to our trivia, I think my co-hosts would have some questions then. But before we actually head on to their questions, earlier si Johnny Lo was asking, since Mika showed his already, is there yet to acquire? Like Jason, for example, do you have any more toys that you're actually looking for to be part of your collection?
I'm trying not to look for toys because magastos. I'm just very lucky that I have a friend, si John Samana of the Merchant. He was able to get me this figure arts na Star Red or Aka Ranger. He got this from Japan for me, together with the book actually. Yung puro Star Rangers yan yung laman nito. So he got these from Japan, the originals. But ako mismo, I'm trying not to buy because magastos guys. Hindi ako gaya ni PJ. Siya kaya niya. Ako, it's been a really long in Japan.
Kasi I was earlier, and he was saying it's a taboo question, but I'm still gonna ask it anyway. In your collection, ilang digits na pinag-uusapan natin? Like for example, like si Jason. Ilang digits na ba yan? If you're just wink us how many digits para hindi malaman ni Mrs.
Hindi nakikita yung blink eh.
Hindi ba
Chinese na lang.
Like fingers ba? 6 digits pa? 5 digits? Na ba yung collection?
Ganon.
Ganon.
Ang bilis parang hindi nakita.
Ganon yung 10 yun.
Ganyan. Di ko alam.
Pero like, diba? Like, I know Jason is collecting and PJ is collecting. How about you, Cal? Like, you have your collection in the back and I've known you for like...
Wala pa kalahati yan. Ipan mo papunta sa kaliwa.
I'll show you some of the stuff.
Tamo. Diba?
Wow. Siguro kukuha na lang ako ng isang sample.
Isang stante pa lang daw yan.
Wait.
Tamo. Kukuha yan sa Kamen Rider.
Kamen Rider Eternal yan. Kita ko yan.
Ang sabi nga sa akin, sa sahig ka na rin natutulog.
Ayan,
nahulog tuloy. So, one of the figures that sobrang gusto ko kasi, I love the color purple and nanood ako ng
Zio driver yan. Nakita dito.
Zio yan.
So, ito,
yan.
si Billion Gamer, I think, how much to? 7. Ayun.
7.
Give or take.
Si Mrs. yung nag-audit. And then, one of the other, this guy, si Eternal, nakuha ko lang siya half the price, pero I think if you look at the Japanese prices now, mga 15 to 20,000 yen ata siya.
Ngayon. Last
Ngayon,
time na
oo.
pumunta ako ng nasa na siya eh. Nasa 10 na siya eh. Pera natin.
I see. Pero yun, mostly
Tumaas na
kasi nung tumaas na ulit.
Tumaas na
Most
ulit.
of the stuff I get kasi is the characters I like. Parang before, parang pa isa-isa. Pero ngayon, parang the main characters na lang kinukuha ko. Or ang problema sa akin kasi, it's not just the figure but also the morpher. So talagang,
Double whammy.
double whammy. So, di talaga.
So earlier, no, because I want to piggyback then off on Miko's presentation earlier about the influence that Tokusatsu had with him. So I'm gonna ask you guys the same question, and I'm gonna include the co-hosts too. I'm gonna ask this to you guys as well, because I think it's only me who's not much of a Tokusatsu fan. I mean, I've seen Sentai series here and there, pero I do not collect as much as each and every one of you does. I'll be completely honest, no. Pero like, how did the Tokusatsu and Sentai series have actually influenced you guys in your life? Let's start with Jason. Yung influence ng Sentai and Tokusatsu sa buhay niyo. Or sige, let's start with PJ muna, since I think we're having some technical difficulties with Jason.
Well, sa akin, paano ko masabi yun? Sa akin kasi, syempre nag-start ako, toys talaga eh. So, major influence sa akin talaga yung toys. Before, well, syempre nung bata, the shows. Pero, as of now, sa laruan nakafocus kasi parang laruan eh, oo. Kasi in my case, ako personal, ko lang to ha. Na-draw ako sa Sentai na robot because of the gimmicks ng toys. Yun yung primary talaga na naghatak sa akin eh, na to collect. Kailan lang ako humabol sa mga ibang shows eh. Nauna muna sa toys.
So
ako hinanap yung pala.
Let me clarify lang, PJ, no? So like before, like you were watching the shows tapos you were collecting, pero nung medyo hindi ka na ba nanonood masyado pero nangongolekta ka pa rin, parang gano'n?
Yes, something like that.
So parang hindi ka caught up sa series, pero you're still aware of what the toy line is, and you're still actually purchasing the toy line.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so that's really dedication. Kasi ako, I would only collect
pag nanonood ka.
Kung ano alam ko, 'di ba? Kasi pag hindi ko kilala.
Ako hindi. Kasi gusto ko talaga yung genre ng laruan niya.
Okay.
Even the newer toys, wala pa sa akin eh. So wala akong ma-show kasi wala pa sa akin. Yung mga bago, actually medyo gumaganda siya ulit eh. Kasi nag-dip siya ng konti eh, di ba? Nung after GOJIRA, medyo nag-dip ng konti, and then
nag-dip talaga. Sobrang ganda kasi GOJIRA.
Yes. GOJIRA was good. Then after that, nag-dip siya eh for a few years. Then gumanda siya ulit yung sa Pat Ranger na, yung Lupin Ranger. Gumanda ulit siya dun eh. Q Ranger was so
Pat versus Lupin.
Yeah, it was so. Then nung lumabas yung Lupin Ranger, Pat Ranger, yun, ganda ng toys. Maganda yung everything. Parang binalik nila sa GOJIRA yung dating nung laruan. Ayan, okay na ulit. And then the latest series ngayon na ewan ko kung patapos na o tapos na yung Real Sugar.
Kira major parang siguro mga 15-20 left.
Yeah, parang dinosaur siya na Lego. Dinosaur, pero may mga building connector siya na para siyang building blocks.
Like yung dating text.
Real Soldier pa
yan. Yung Real Sugar,
Real Soldier pa rin. Yung ngayon is Kira Major na, yung correct.
Yung Kira Major, medyo yung pinakikiramdaman ko pa. So, parang
before we lose Jason again, I wanna hear from him naman yung influence ng Tokusatsu and Sentai in his life. What the influence that he's done to you, Nano?
For me, siguro, Mike, it's just that it's an early memory for me na, di ba, superhero sila, tapos 5 sila, and they're a team. Before I was aware siguro of maybe a Justice League or an Avengers, I was first aware of Star Rangers eh. Diyan ako una kumagat. Tapos, since then, since I got reacquainted with Tokusatsu, every year there's a new team. Tapos sa Kamen Rider, every year there's a new hero. Ang galing nga ng Toei and Japan that every year they find a way to create something new with a completely new cast.
It's like reinventing, di ba?
Yes, absolutely. It's reinventing. Tapos
not easy.
To have something new every year, that's that's not a small feat, di ba? Medyo matindi rin eh.
Ang mahirap pa
And
team.
they've repeated concepts before. Nakakatatlong dinosaur concepts na sila. Nakailang pulis din, ganyan. But it still feels fresh because maybe it's because walang permanent. They always change the actors. They change the concept. But it all goes back to the very first. Bumabalik lagi sa kanya. They appreciate the legacy and every year they announce pag 35th na, pag 40th, pag 45th. Ina-announce nila yon kasi it's a pretty much an unbroken line for Super Sentai. And if I'm not mistaken, isa pa lang sa original actors yung namamatay. Who's the original yellow na Star Yellow? The original Key Ranger. Siya pa lang yung namamatay eh. Everyone else, pag may mga reunion shows, they do try to still tap them. So for a long time fan, nakakatuwa makita. I mean, nung nag-crossover yung GOJIRA, kahit si Kenny, si Red One sa Bioman, pakita pa dun eh. So yun. And even
I've seen that.
si Black Condor from Jetman showed up also and he died in the show.
Si Gavan, di ba lumabas?
Si Gavan.
Naaresto ni Gavan yung GOJIRA kasi pirates sila, di ba?
It's really just infused into your like yourself.
Yeah.
As a fan of the Sentai culture.
Anong year na next year? 45th na nila, no?
45th na this year.
This year ba yung 45th?
Oo. Kasing tanda ko yan eh. Kasing tanda ko sila.
Yan na, umami na.
Nag-reveal na tayo ng age. He mentioned his age na. So, I know I'm younger than him by a couple of years. So,
yeah.
Pero, so, see, how about you, Kat? Like, same question since you have so much of the collection behind you.
I guess I can say na I guess I can say na it actually affected a lot, especially sa character, and at the same time in everything else naman, it kind of dictated to where I am right now. I finished production design, so Sir Miko knows the process, and so do I. So gets ko yung creative process and the same. So from there, nung nakita ko siya, nung una ko napanood sa IBC 13 si Black, si Kurata-san, doon ko nakita, paano kaya nila ginagawa yung costume? So paano kaya yung, I mean, parang the curiosity of how they do it, how the practicality of everything is, and how do they create those elements for it to work and for it to look seamless, yung mga practical, lalo na yung sa Ultraman, yung tipong yung pag-angat ni Ultraman from the human size paakyat. Hindi siya talaga yung Andrew talaga iba yung itsura ng figure na pag nag-henshin siya to the giant.
Gusto ko itanong kay Miko, no, how do they make that in a film perspective? Is that like by toys na parang iba na yung scale nun just to actually make it seem like they're big? Ganun ba yun? Nakamute ka, Miko. Mute.
Sorry. Alam ko yung shot ng overhead shot, yung lumalaki siya na ganun. Alam ko disfigured type siya na figure na talagang malaki yung ditong part niya. So parang pag sinut nilang ganun, mukha siyang parang lumalaki. So mostly pagdating sa miniatures, it's always just perspective of how they kasi I mean, kahit bata pa lang ako, parang, alam mo, gusto ko na gumawa. Nung nalaman ko lang na, pag tumingin ka dito, pag doon na sa malayo, mukha siya. Alam mo, for the longest time, gusto ko siyang gawin. So, nung nagkaroon ako ng chance of doing it, so parang, yay! So, again, these kinds of show push you to be more creative, to try it, and to, isipin mo kung ako nag-enjoy doing the small bits of it, paano pa sila na doing it for longest time. So, yeah.
So we have explained earlier with the fan, si Jason, the toy collector, Mr. PJ Chua, and then also for the influence in the culture, Mr. Miko Livelo. No? So now we're gonna hop on to, nakalimutan ko, Toto, ikaw, experience influence.
Kala mo, lusot ka. Pasimple.
Natakpan ko yung script eh. Ikaw, anong influence sa'yo niyan?
Masakit eh.
Masakit
masakit yung experience ko.
Magastos.
Kasi hindi magastos, physically masakit siya kasi syempre mga stunts nakikita mo ng kabataan mo, pinapanood mo siya sa TV, ginagaya mo. So marami akong injury dito sa katawan ko. Ayan,
Bukol,
ulit sa
pinay,
baba.
ano pa.
So ikaw pala
Hindi ka
yung
pa naman namulundag ng
gusto nila
buko.
live action yan.
Actually, huwag na natin pag-usapan yan.
Lumulundag ka ng buko? Dumag ka sa
so,
drum.
so let's hop on to the Q&A. So like everyone who's watching on YouTube and Twitter, I am inviting you guys to hop onto our Facebook fan page in TOYCON to comment your answers for our trivia for tonight. So our three guests would have questions regarding their presentations earlier. And I guess yung first answer, no, para hindi na mahirapan si Sir As, yung first na comment, the first comment that comes out will be the winner. So just to all the trivia winners, no, just please check your Facebook messages from a message, either Catherine Barameda or myself, so that our logistics team can make arrangements for the delivery of your prizes. Yeah. So let's start with Jason, no, yung trivia question. What are you giving away muna? Like what prize are you giving away? Meron ka bang magaganon? Is there? And I think, are we losing you? Are we losing you? In Japan?
Ito. I have these stickers. There's ayun, sir. Batman and Penguin. They're made by Freely Abrigo. Ayan, di ba? Mga stickers sila designed by Freely Abrigo. So this is what I'll be giving away.
Yeah, so yan yung prizes ni Jason. And what is your question for our viewers?
Ayun.
Oh.
Ting-
Kailangan ba kami
I
magbago?
hope not. I hope not. I'm here.
Yeah. So yung question mo, Jason, for our viewers.
Okay. Ayan. Ayan, guys. Kita.
Yes. Din 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 din. Yan, trivia na tayo. Naglalag si Jason. Nice. So,
Rinig ba, guys?
yeah. So, what will be your question for our viewers for tonight? May question.
Wala si Mike.
Ayan.
Sorry.
Wala si Jason. Pero, kayo, Kal, may pamimigay rin kayo. Ang dami mong collection eh.
Ako,
Nakamute ka na naman ata.
Choppy.
Choppy.
Umuulan pa ata.
Ayan, Jason, are you back? Nandiyan ka na ba? So, sige, let's skip muna Jason up until he stabilizes. No? PJ,
Yes.
how about you? Anong pamimigay mo muna na? Ano?
Meron akong vinyl figure na surprise.
Vinyl surprise.
Yes. Wala
Surprise
dito eh.
ka.
Nandun sa bodega eh. Halong kasi ko.
Sige,
Pero
so
meron ako. I
while
have
we're
one.
trying to set Jason up again, so once he gets back now, ano ang trivia question mo for our viewers?
Ang magandang trivia question ko is, anong toy store yung nasa Gold Crest na laging pinupuntahan ng lahat noong mga early 80s up to...
Nasa presentation mo ba yan?
Yes.
Sabi mo ba?
Sinabi
Ay,
ko.
sinabi niya kanina yan.
Sinabi ko yun.
Oo,
Maraming beses
ko
na
yun.
sinabi.
Alright. So, for our viewers, ano yung question ulit, PJ?
Anong toy store yung nasa Gold Crest na sikat nung 80s?
Yan.
Hanggang 90s yun, bukas pa sila noon. Bago
Yan.
giniba yung Gold Crest noon. The go-to store ng toys nung panahon na yon.
Yan yung question.
Yes, I'm pretty sure everybody nung mga panahon na alam niyan.
Diyos ko, wala
Isa lang naman yun eh.
Yan.
Hindi pa ako toy collector niyan.
Umiiyak pa ako niyan nung bata siguro.
Ay naku, yung alam mo yun,
Early
alam mo yung
90s
tutungo ka
eh.
lang sa salamin niya tapos iiyak ka kasi wala ka pambili. Titingin ka lang,
Tingnan mo lang, tuturo mo lang. Parang,
tuturo mo lang.
next
Tas-
time na anak.
And then they're
Alam-
open late,
Yan,
di ba,
yan.
hanggang 9 na ng gabi.
Kailangan ba full yung full name yon or
Oo, kasi yun lang naman yung name niya, wala naman iba eh. Wala naman siyang ano eh.
meron na ata tayong winner. I'll wait for Kowa. Si Sir Az ang advise sa atin kung meron na.
Doon ko unang nakita yung Megazord noon. Laway na laway talaga.
Nasa private chat ka ba, PJ? I think
Yes.
it is the,
Okay, sagutin ko dito ha.
yan.
Yan.
I think that's right, yan.
Yes. This is the exact.
Dapat full, ayan, dapat full.
Yan yung actual name. That one.
Yan yung actual name. Dapat
Yes.
full daw siya.
Yes. Yan, tama yan. Yes.
Kasi hindi naman pwede, kunyari, di ba, parang sa QC, leeches, hindi naman pwede.
Yes, hindi pwede. Yan yung talagang
leeches. So, kailangan
nung time nung 80s, yan yung talagang go-to specialty store talaga ng lahat. Yung time na yun.
So,
Talagang,
I'm actually looking din dito kasi may nag-comment yung leeches lang parang ganon. So,
no.
I think we have a winner. Just waiting for, ayan, the answer is Nova Fontana.
Yes.
And then, the winner is Mr. Victor Calanog. Yes.
Yay.
Nasa New York si BC B-Boy. You're going to have to send to New York.
Ano kung gagawin
Ay,
yun?
nandito ba yan?
New York.
Don't worry, PJ. Our logistics team will make sure to send it over.
Nandiyan siya
Sige,
New York.
I guess once na umabot sa bahay ko, I'll drive to New York to send it over. So,
Ayun.
Jersey ka na pala, no?
ganun kasi
Ilang
yung
hours ang drive to
And so
New
actually,
York?
kung pa na-ship yung mga nanalo na prizes dito, I have to still ship it over to
Ayun.
How long does it take from Jersey to New York?
Oh, for me, it's like
Yeah.
45 minutes to the city. So, depende kasi which part of New York he is. So,
Okay.
we'll check it.
Bilis.
Yeah.
Bilis ah.
Jason, what's yung question mo for your prizes earlier? Medyo naglalag pa
Yes.
Jason. Ayan.
Ayan, sinabi ko na rin kay Azno, there were 3 space sheriffs. So, ang tanong ko is, who is the 3rd space sheriff aside from Gavan and Shaider?
Yeah.
Who was the 3rd space sheriff?
Yan. Sino raw yung 3rd na space? Ba't nandun yung answer?
Ayan.
May answer na.
Ayun. Sinabi,
Ala na blooper.
Oh no!
May movers
si Azno
Wait,
Bonus yun,
Dapat pala sumali
bonus
ako.
round. Bonus round.
bonus na yun.
Bonus na yun.
ayan na.
Wala na lang.
Palit na. Okay, palit tayong question, Jason.
Palit ng question. Okay.
Anong kulay niya lang?
Yun. Anong tawag sa belt na ginagamit ng Kamen Riders to transform?
Ayan, ang tawag daw sa belt. Yan, pa-type na lang Jason nung answer sa private chat. Hindi sa
Okay.
comment, baka sa comment naman ni chat daw, so ganun din.
Palabas din siya.
Yan. Tawag sa belt. Ano ba yan? Utility belt. Batman utility belt.
Ano yan? Ano yan? Seiko ba yun? Anong brand
Yan,
ng belt
nandiyan.
nun?
Yon, I think I saw someone to actually may nanalo na ata. All right, the answer for that question, for everyone, no, the answer for that question is driver. Yeah, yes, and yung answer. And I think we have a winner. We have a winner ata. And then, yan. So, Paul Pavila, congratulations. You won the stickers that Jason will be giving out. Yan, yes. So, please make sure to check your Facebook messages. At yung mga message requests then if you're not friends with Miss Catherine Bermeda or myself so that we can actually arrange the logistics for your prizes. Yan. And then, last but not the least, Direct Miko. Ano pamimigay mo?
Yeah.
Yung limited edition ba yan na figure ng Blue Boss natin?
Yun nakabalot.
Wala, yun na lang yung collection.
Yun na lang yung ano.
Although, yung bibigay ko naman, I guess, limited or wala ka nang makukuha na. But meron pa natitira kasi shirt.
Oh,
yan.
Wow, yeah.
Ang problem lang is, small at extra small na lang to.
Kailangan.
Okay,
Kung sino makakuha
Smaller,
na.
smaller.
Up sa akin yan.
Ipitin mo na lang.
Parang braso ko lang kasi dyan eh.
Actually, dalawa.
Isa lang.
Dalawa. Actually, kung may
Dalawa.
gusto.
So, small and extra small. Okay. So, sa mga sasagot, kailangan small din yung size nyo muna. Ganun.
Ibigay niyo sa anak niyo.
Or pamigay nyo sa mga girlfriend nyo. Parang, yun,
Yes.
gift ako sa'yo
Yes.
ngayon. Hindi mo napanood to, pero sa'yo na yung shirt.
Alright,
So,
Miko, what's your question?
oh, yeah. Sorry, kailangan ko pala i-type dito. Sorry. So,
Pero,
dito na.
yung
Yeah,
question and then, ano mo na lang,
yeah.
sa aming private chat yung answer.
No, so maliban sa Blue Bustamante, anong year pinalabas yung super generic Epic 5 dun sa presentation?
Yan. So, what's
Saan ang galing yun?
yung super epic? May autograph mo raw ba yung t-shirt?
Kung gusto mo madumihan. Kalimutan ko kasi gumawa ng shirt na. Pero maganda siya kasi hanggang ngayon okay pa rin yung color niya for some reason. Hindi ko na
Yung
kung sino
print niya intact. Oh.
Yeah.
7
So,
years
Yan.
2013
Ano,
pa.
pinalabas super generic epic 5.
Yeah.
Nasa presentation na kanina yan.
Hindi ko pala nakikita yung mga.
So, Miko, this is the right answer, no?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we'll check and see. And I think meron na rin nanalo. Our COA will announce. So, the answer to that question is...
Sorry. The 2009.
Yeah, 2009. Yes. And the winner is Michael Columna. Yes. Congratulations. For winning. Pakisabi na lang kung small or extra small ang gusto mo. Yan.
Baka kasi sa braso mo. Or gawin mo mask.
Face mask.
So may isa pang question, Miko, for the other shirt na ano?
Ano yung next namin gagawin na project, I guess?
Ayun, yan. Only first heard and first seen at TOYCON.
Alright.
At TOYCON TV. Yan, first yan. Actually, naka-embed na nga sa script ko eh. After nun.
Ay, sabi ko. Yes.
That's the right one, no? Yan. So, ano raw yung next film?
First series. So, yeah. So, the answer is Carpiaman. Hopefully, lumabas na rin siya.
Yan.
Actually, wala pa nang pero...
Oh, sorry.
Yan. Yeah. Meron na. Giveaway na yan. Okay na yan.
Okay naman.
Congratulations, Paolo Gutilban, for winning the extra small. So,
mukhang kasha sa'yo yung small.
First priority kasi si Michael kanina. So, he'll be get either small or XS. So, siya na para
dalawang small pala to.
Dalawang small, ayan. So, equal naman sila. So, I guess, again, congratulations to the winners. So, please make sure to actually check your Facebook messages that comes from either myself or Miss Catherine Barameda, no? So that we can actually arrange the logistics for it. And I guess that's about it. Thank you very much. Final messages from our guest. Jason, let's start with you. Any final message or anything you want to promote?
I just want to thank TOYCON, Cholo, everybody, all you guys for inviting me to talk about something that I really love since I was a kid and I've reconnected with. And thanks for giving me the time to share this with an excellent panel with PJ and Direct Miko. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Jason. How about you, PJ?
PJ, ayun, I would like to thank also TOYCON TV, to Sir Cholo for inviting me over, and to everybody else, mga suki ko, sila Toto. And of course, para makilala ko si Miko, Jason, and Michael also. So, hopefully, we have a TOYCON na next year para makita-kita tayo.
Sana.
Yes.
Right, thank you so much, PJ. And last but not the least, Miko, any final messages to your fans?
Don't do drugs. Stay thank you TOYCON again for inviting. Thank you. I met new people na mahilig sa genre na to, and mukhang kukulitin ko si PJ ngayon nalaman ko may shop pala siya. So,
Pag may merchandise ka, collab tayo, benta na.
Ayan.
Yeah.
Kahit natin si Blue Bustamante. We'll get you the resources to get it started up.
Yeah.
Ang bala ko nga dati, maglalagay lang ako ng isang toy sa Mandrake. Iiwan ko lang dun. Mas bahala na ako.
Ano to?
Ano to?
Wala
Hey,
ba
it might work. Kasi sabihin nila,
May number sa ilalim, taka email.
this is very, diba? This is very rare. We haven't seen this before. Bala mo may mga ganong collectors and then they actually raise the item to like how much, diba?
Collectors come in all shapes, forms, and sizes.
Exactly. And I guess thank you so much again, Miko, as well, and to our awesome guests. My co-host, any messages? Toto, Cal? Toto muna.
Lasing na si
Salamat
Toto.
sa mga nanonood.
Gusto mo i-promote yung cold cuts mo?
Nagtitinda ako ng bacon ngayon. Baka gusto
Ganun bacon.
Yung bacon mo, promote mo na lang later. Yan. How about you, Cal?
Shout out sa Bacon. At gumagano ka na. Shout out.
Bacon and Angus Burger. Shout out.
May isa ako shout out, Mike, kung pwede.
Sige.
This t-shirt is designed by my friend Ariana Corantes. You can get the shirt at redbubble.com. Look for Eozen Art. EOZENART.
Do they customize shirts then?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so if you want that shirt and customized shirts, redbubble.com. Yes. Thank you so much. Again, thank you for the prestigious guests, and thank you to my awesome co-hosts tonight. Catch us again next week, same time, same place, for another fun-filled episode of TOYCON TV. So I hope you had fun with us tonight. And until then, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Stay safe, everyone.
Stay
Group
safe.
6 pa daw.
Wow,
man. May ganito.
Siya lang ang bida na kumanta ng kanyang sariling team song.
Ano?
Hindi ko alam yun.
Ano yung singer?
Red Turbo. Siya rin.
Ano lang siya dito? 20 anyos lang siya dito nun. Ginawa niya. Mga 20? 21 years old? He did this?
Para siyang si Vic Soto. No? Ngayon ko lang na-realize.
Ang malupit sa kanya, ang dami nila nag-audition, siya lang pinili. Considering siya yung pinakabata dun sa mga nag-audition. Tapos siya rin yung kumanta ng sarili niyang team song.
Yeah.
Actually, titipid yung studio para all-in-one na raw yung bayad.
Actually.
Saka ang balita daw, yung ibang stunts daw siya din daw gumawa. Medyo version siya.
Sulit na sulit yung payment sa kanya.
Miko, pagka meron kang yung red, yung ano mo sa film mo, dapat kakanta rin yung ano mo yung lead.
Ganon.
Take note ko nga ito.
Yung ano.
Tapos na ba yung show? O nag-play pa rin tayo?
We're still live.
Okay.
Hindi ako
Hindi ako nangulangot.
Okay lang, hindi naman mahalata eh.
Doon sa pangalan mo, gaganon ka lang.
Ang ganda na naglagay sila ng lyrics sa ilalim, pero wala rin ako naintindihan sa sinasabi.
Yung subtitles.
Saan naman lang yung kung ano yung mismo sinasabi.
Sana, translate, hindi yung, ano yan eh. Hindi sinasabi, ulitin mo lang eh.
Karaoke lang talaga.
Ilang season yung motor na yun to? Mga 150cc lang.
150 lang yan.
150cc.
Alam yung gamit ng motor? Yung ginagamit niya sa show? Ano yan? 250 yan.
252 stroke, diba?
250cc yan. Kasi nung in-exhibit sa Japan, nandun ako, nakita namin yan eh. 250cc yan.
Daming gumagawa ng ganyan, nagmamotorsiklo ng ganyan sa probinsya eh.
Alam mo man ng lockdown, meron isa sa mga nagko-cosplay sa atin, nakita ko sa supermarket, naka-full sentai gear, pati helmet.
Motorsiklo?
Parang kilala ko
motor,
ang
yung costume, pumasok sa supermarket.
Ah.
So, haharangin ng guard, naka-helmet nga, di ba? So, technically, naka-maskara siya.
Ay, trivia pala na
Soldier ata yun.
I think way back, TOYCON something 2014 ba or 15, someone actually asked us to actually, if they can bring in yung motorsiklo na kasama na, yung naka-costume sila ng hindi ko alam if Kamen Rider, pero something with a motorcycle. Kaya kami nag-release ng guidelines when it comes to bringing in motorized vehicles for their cosplay.
Ayos sa cosplay. Oo. Actually sa SMX ng